Welcome everybody. This is Prenatal Yoga and I'm Bonnie Golden, prenatal and postpartum yoga specialist. I'm so glad you're here. Congratulations again. Today, our practice will be focused on the hips and the pelvis. So I want to show you a pelvis. A picture is worth 1,000 words. We all have them, males and females. And there's particular joints I want you to be aware of and parts of the pelvis as we go through our practice. And I always say that yoga, the synonym for it is awareness. So the more we're aware, the more knowledge we have, the more empowered we can feel. So this obviously is the pelvis, and then these two joints, these two circles here, are where your femurs or that long, your leg bone goes. So if you palpate, there's the crease at your hip, that's where you'll feel these joints right here. And where your legs go does affect the pelvis. We're going to be exploring that in our class today. So those joints right there are sometimes called the hip joints globally. This right here, it's made of rubber, but it is to signify the ligament called the pubic symphysis. It's also a joint that holds these two halves of the pelvis together. It's a little bit loose, but it does, or not loose, but it has a little bit of movement in order for the pelvis to move a bit for a woman to give birth. This is the baby's head going through the inlet and coming through the outlet. So you'll hear, you may have some feelings, a little pain in this area because of the relaxin that's in your system in greater quantity that makes our joints looser in order to give birth. So that's the pubic symphysis. Then the last couple of joints I want to show you, if you touch the back, your lower back, and then right below that, you'll feel this flat bone, okay? And that's the sacrum. And the sacrum has a little bit of movement, but not as much as the hip joint, in order to let the baby out, okay? So the sacrum has two joints, one on each side, called the sacroiliac joints. You'll hear people say, my SI joints are hurting me. And depending how your legs are situated, it may affect the stability of those joints. And then the last two things I want you to be aware of are these bones. You can feel them actually on your butt, in your butt. Sorry about that. And those are the sitting bones. You'll feel them more when we're sitting down. Our goal today in our practice is to find stability around the pelvis, strength, but also to make sure that we have flexibility in order for the baby to be able to come through and give birth. So we want both. We want stability and strength. We want flexibility and some give. Okay? And with that, last thing I want to show you is this is a representation of the muscles of the pelvic floor. And I talk about that a lot. And those are the muscles that kind of keep the uterus and all the organs in. And we'll be working with the pelvic floor and its movement. So you can see how the bones and the muscles are really related to each other. Okay. So with that, have a seat if you're not already. Cross your legs. If they've been crossed one way this whole time, you can change the cross of your legs if you wish to. And I'd like you to scoot left and right and then take the tissues of your bum and move them off to the side, and you'll feel those sitting bones. Bring your hands to your knees, round the back, and then you'll start to feel yourself sitting more on the tailbone and the sacrum. If you come forward, you'll feel the top of the pelvis tilt forward, coming more toward the pubic symphysis. This is a seated cat-cow. Keep going. Inhale. Exhale. So we have a lens on your pelvis. And the more we know, like I said, the more empowered we can be. So breathe with that and bringing that movement. And then we're going to circle the torso and then begin to feel the right and left side. Yeah. We talked about those two sides. Feel the bones on the right and the left. Good. Go the other way. Begin to breathe consciously if you haven't already. Excellent. Beautiful. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Sweep them up. Inhale. Stretch your fingertips to the sky. So this kind of position might help digestion. If you have heartburn, just making room. Keep those two sides of the pelvis stable. Lengthen your fingertips to the sky. Press the air down on the exhale. Two more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Take your legs open now and have your toes to face the sky. Again, adjust the adipose tissue, the fat that's in the butt, the muscles that are keeping it stable. And don't go so wide that you feel strain at the pubis, but have your toes toward the sky and release your ankle joints. Breathe. So while we're doing these ankle releases, just getting some circulation here, start to feel, are you tilting so much forward onto your pubic bone? Are you kind of sagging back onto the tailbone? We want to be more of a place of evenness between the front and the back of the pelvis. And that affects the pelvic floor too. So right now we're just getting that circulation going. And good. Bring your legs apart, tilt the top of the pelvis so you can actually feel those jutting out bones. Feel them go forward, like you're spilling a pot of water. And then bring your fingertips to the floor. And you'll sense a nice lengthening in your hamstrings. Don't go 90, 100%. Go about 70, 80%. Let that stretch come to you. And breathe. So the hamstrings are actually attached onto the sitting bones, those bones we felt earlier. That helps us find room, find length. Keep breathing. Walk your hands over to your left. Hands come to center. Walk them over to the right. Breathing in and breathing out. So we want to use our legs in all kinds of positions, which will, again, keep that flexibility in order to let baby come out. Go ahead and walk your way up. Bring your legs in, and then the feet come together. Take a look at them. It's a diamond shape. And if your knees are way up, you want to bring more height. So the idea is not to slump back onto your tailbone, but kind of feel that evenness on both sitting bones. We're in the butterfly. And here's where we can feel those hip joints get a little juicy in this butterfly kind of shape. So that movement helps to find room and ameliorates feelings of stiffness in the hips. Now, if you pause a minute, look at your feet and see if they're even. So if one foot's further forward than the other, that will actually affect it all the way up to that SI joint that we looked at. So this keeps them even, keeping the feet even. Push the feet together. Push the outer edges of the feet together gently, and then let the inner edges open up, like you're going to put a little book there. And then lean forward with your heart, and you can feel these inner thigh muscles that are also one of a slip of them is connected into the tissues of that pelvic floor. Breathe. Breathe way, way down deep and expand. Exhale, relax your shoulders, come slightly further. And again, you can even touch at the top rim of that pelvis is coming forward. And you can just picture that tilting. Breathing in and out. Inhale, exhale, go ahead and come up. Help your knees in and stretch your legs out into the staff pose about hip joint distance apart. Sense that the ribs are over the pelvis and then open up your arms. Breathe and give yourself a hug. Pat yourself on the back for coming to yoga today. Inhale, open. Exhale, other arm comes on top. Pat yourself on the back for coming to yoga today. Excellent. And then release. Bring your hands to your thighs and feel that length in the spine, that sense of not sitting on tailbone, not sitting on pubic bone, but that balanced symmetry, the best your body will allow. This is asking for those stabilizing muscles to turn on, to come into play. Dandasana. Beautiful. And then one more time, we'll move one leg out the other. Abduction, come forward, tilting the front of the pelvis, the top of the pelvis forward. Inhale, come up. Bring the soles of the feet together. Feel like they're even. And see if this doesn't feel a little roomier the second time around. Observe that. That's what yoga is. Come forward with the heart. You can maybe feel that your knees have dropped down further toward the floor. You've made room. And then help the legs up. Back to Dandasana. Let's do that one more time. Legs open, not extremely. Feel even. Soles of feet together. Coming forward and coming up, legs come straight forward. Excellent. We're going to bring our legs in, roll to one side, come to all fours, and you can bring a blanket underneath your knees to make a little bit of room or space or padding. Chair. Okay, coming to your table pose. Wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, and then bring the legs a little wider. And again, remember the leg position will affect the pelvis because that's where the top of the femur is attached. Bring your shoulders back, and I'd like you to just move only the pelvis. So we're tilting it forward and back. I'm isolating, we're not going right into cat-cow. You can even put your hands on your sacrum and feel that tilting. Good. Now bring the movement into the lower back. We're bringing the movement up the body so you can really engage with the possibilities. Then bring the movement into the mid back. So it's all starting from the tilting forward and back of your pelvis. This is a great knowledge for labor. Bring the movement into the upper back between the shoulder blades and let your chin go to your chest. And then let your shoulders come back, stretch your neck forward, and feel length in the spine without overarching right here where the lumbar and the sacrum connect. Let's keep going that way. So easy cat-cows. Initiated by your knowledge, by your wisdom of how that beautiful part of the body called the pelvis initiates the movement. Coming, excellent. One more, please. Come back to neutral, and now we'll circle. So get a sense, remember the hip crease where the femur meets the pelvis, feels like almost it's like a mortar and a pestle, circling in that joint, making room. This is, of course, I've talked about before, getting on all fours during labor can be helpful. Please shake out your wrist. If you need to, go one way, then the other. Breathing, breathing. Shift your weight to the right. Shift your weight to the left. Shift your weight back with your heels curled under. And then when you come back, you'll feel that nice length in the muscles in the glutes. Also, we're looking for that flexibility. Feel your pelvic floor expand. A nice stretch in the bottom of the feet. Come forward. Draw your shoulders back. Let your chest come between the shoulders. Don't sag in the belly. Keep those muscles engaged. And then you'll feel that nice, again, that length here. So we want not to be so rock solid that our muscles and our tissues don't want the baby to come through. We want that flexibility. And whether you end up having a belly birth or you're scheduled for a belly birth or you're having a vaginal birth, all of this applies before, during, and after you have that baby. So feel the strength coming forward and the stretch coming back. And the last one will bring both legs over to the left. Look at your tail. Take your right hand to the left. Stretch the right side of body. And second side. Feels so good. And inhale, exhale, release. So downward facing dog. You can take it at the floor if you maybe less than 35 weeks, or if you've been doing it. So I'll show you chair dog, just so you see. You can bring a chair, a piece of furniture, a counter. Feet are as wide as the hips, and actually wider than the hips, and then stretch your hips back. So that's chair dog. And then, so those of you who want to take that version, and those who want to take the floor version, the wrists come forward of the shoulders, pressing into the 10 fingertips. Keep the knees bent and then widen your feet, and you'll feel the pelvic floor have space. Whichever version you're doing, think about the pelvic floor widening, opening, and shake your head out. Breathing in and out. And slowly let your knees come down. Grab a block or a book or whatever you're using to bring the floor to you. We're going to bring our elbows to the block or the book and bring our knees under the hips. What I'd like you to do, we're going to do about 5 breaths where we breathe into the belly. Feel it expand. Nice, long, slow, deep inhale. And then feel the baby hug when you exhale. So if I was going to take my shirt, we inhale and it goes down, but it expands sideways. And exhale, feel the hug of your baby from within. So there's that. So feel the belly and ribs expand when you inhale, and then exhale, hugging the baby. Now, the next piece I want to add for the next 3 breaths is when you inhale, feel as if you're breathing all the way down and blossoming your pelvic floor open. And when you exhale, feel the pelvic floor lift in and up, and you're hugging your baby from within. And even if you don't really feel it right now, pretend like you can picture it, like that model I showed you. So inhale, expand the belly and the ribs, but also feel softening in the pelvic floor. And exhale, feel it lift in and up as you hug your baby. And one more time. So this isn't like fast squeezing Kegels. We're just being able to, importantly, relax with the breath, inhaling, expanding, and then feeling the difference between relaxation and holding and contracting. Excellent. And then give yourself a nice child's pose. You can bring your big toes together, your knees apart, stack your fists so that they're under your forehead. And take 2 or 3 breaths. Again, you can employ that deep diaphragmatic breathing all the way into the pelvic diaphragm, the pelvic floor. Good. Go ahead, excuse me, and make your way up. We're going to take a few lunge positions. So you can have padding under your knee, and then take this right foot forward, point the toes out, and we'll just let the hips, let the pelvis come down and forward, and then bring it up. So we're trying to find movement in all these different positions. Keep going. To increase mobility, to increase awareness and strength. And then bring your forearm to the front thigh and let the top arm come up. Look up towards ceiling or look forward. So one leg is forward, one leg is back. That is affecting the position of your pelvis, which can help when you're in labor. Baby kind of, I call sift their way down. Now, if you have pubic symphysis pain, this is not probably something, it's something you might want to back out of. So be very aware of that. Good, we're going to the second side. So we're not overly stretching. Remember, in prenatal yoga, we are not going at 150%. It's not competitive. We just want to honor this time, bring the arm up, forearm to the thigh, stretch along the side of the body. Breathing in and out. Beautiful. And excellent, everyone. Inhale, exhale, come on up. You can sit on your heels for a moment. Interlace the fingers, stretch toward the sky. If sitting on your heels doesn't work, just take the stretch in any position you'd like. And exhale. Beautiful. Bring one leg forward, curl the back toes under, press into your front heel and make your way to standing. And have your block nearby. We're going to be using that for a moment. So I'll turn sideways. Bring the hands to the bones of your pelvis, okay? So kind of like that. And shift it left and right. And you can see the legs. Your legs are also moving, and that's shifting the pelvis, right? You can feel. So remember that if you find yourself standing one way a lot of the time, that will bring tightness on one side of the body and overly perhaps lengthening on the other side of the body. So just kind of get a sense when you shift your weight back and forth, which side feels roomier, which side doesn't. And with that knowledge, make sure you take your less habitual side, because there's nothing really wrong with shifting your weight. You just don't want to do it 90% of the day. Let's go in those circles. So 12, 3, 6, 9. So habits kind of get cemented in our brain and our body. Making a circle here. We're again touching, feeling how the legs are moving in those hip sockets. Go the other way. And I call this dancing, prenatal dancing. When I used to teach partner prenatal in person, partners would come, they would dance together. Good. And go ahead and shake out your legs. Okay. You're going to grab the block or the blanket or towel, whatever you're using, and bring it between your legs. Have your toes facing forward and shift your weight to the heels for a moment. And then shift your weight more toward your toes and feel what happens in your hips. Yes? So right away, you can feel that there's a little more, almost like a strain here. You might get some pain in the lower back. So just that awareness of where you're bearing weight on your feet will then impact where your pelvis is. This is mountain pose. So we are turning on these inner thigh muscles, the adductors, bringing your hands to your heart. And then we'll sit the hips back. Sit the hips back like there's a chair behind you. Start to feel light. I want you to bring your hand now to your sacrum. In fact, you can bring your other hand to the front of the pelvis. And see if you're twerking. So you don't want to twerk the hips out. You want to feel a nice line here, if that makes sense. And you can, and see if you're tucking. We don't want to tuck. So we want a nice neutral pelvis as the hips go back. And with that awareness, bring your hands in front of your heart. The block is there. We're finding stability. Now, this is really a nice exercise to find stability, not only in the sacroiliac joints, but that pubic symphysis. Chair pose. Open your arms. Breathe. Decide the height that works for you. You can go higher or lower. Sweep your arms up. And exhale, bring the arms down. Good. Bring the block out from away. Pretend it's there. We're going to do the same thing. Pretend the block is there. Bring your hands to your sacrum in the front of your pelvis. And with the block, pretending the block is there. So the inner thighs are turned on. They're stabilizers too. Go ahead and come to chair pose. So it's a form of a squat, right? Feels so good. Of course, the quads are working. We want to build that strength. This is one of the strengthening yoga postures for the muscles around your hips. Inhale, sweep up, beautiful. Exhale, release down. Beautiful. Let's bring the legs open and just swing out, whatever feels good for you in the arms. You can bring the arms up here and internally and externally rotate. You can get your hips involved. So just kind of releasing here. Beautiful. Relax the arms down. Now I'm going to take a chair just so you can see variations. If you're feeling heavy and you want to do the openings, but don't want to go deeper than your body allows. So you're bringing the front heel, this is your left foot, aligned with the back heel. And again, remember the leg position affects the pelvis. So that's a good position for pregnancy. We'll bring the back hand to the hip. You'll feel the extension of your torso forward and a little bit of a hip flex. And then I'm going to bring my fingertips to the chair to get this nice hip opener and triangle variation. Chest is open and bring your top arm up. Look at your thumbnail or look forward. So you can see here that this awesome triangle pose is helping to find that mobility, but also strength in the legs. One more breath if you can. Inhale, exhale. Go ahead and release. We'll take the other side. You can just shift so your other foot is under. Now remember, foot position determines everything else above. Front heel to back heel, back hand to the hip, or kind of I'm a little teapot. I'm finding my fingertips on the chair. You could always do the triangle that you're used to doing. I'm offering you another way to do this pose. Feeling the pelvis shift to your left. If you haven't already, bring the top arm up. Breathing in, breathing out. Excellent, everyone. And inhale, exhale, release. Let's go to the first side again. Heel to heel, dotted line. We'll bring our hands to the hips, to the pelvis, bend the front knee, feel it drop straight down. And then come up when you straighten the front knee. Let's add the arms. Inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, exhale. Last one, keep the knee bent. Let the arms come down. Warrior two. If you can gaze into the horizon, do so. And get a sense of your ribs over the pelvis, over the top rim of the pelvis. Breathe. So in other words, we're not going way forward. We're not into the past. We're kind of in a centered place in your pregnancy. Whew. And inhale, exhale, release. We'll go to the second side. Front heel to back heel. Let's bend the front knee, let the arms come up and then down. Keep going vinyasa style with your breath. Exhale. Inhale, keep the knee down, let the shoulders relax as you come into warrior two. Strong. Now this is the strength of the mama warrior. Right here, we've got endurance, we've got our legs turned down, but we also have that opening in the pelvis. Inhale, exhale, release and relax. Now I want to give you another position. I'll show it with the chair, where you can have your hands on the chair and your feet come open with the toes forward. Chair or whatever you have nearby that's stable, that's not on wheels. Or you can take, and I'll show it here, the block. Have your toes forward, hinge at the hip, and put the block kind of under your neck. Draw your hips back, draw them back, so it feels like your hips are aligned with your heels. And now we're going to, as you relax your shoulder, find that same breath we played with in the child's pose when we were on the ground. So inhale, expand your belly and your ribs. Surround your baby. Exhale, hug your baby. Long, slow, deep. Feel that inner hug. Inhale. Expand. Blossom. Exhale, hug your baby. The next 2 or 3, bring that breath down into the muscles of the pelvic floor. So inhale, feel an expansion. I like to say a blossoming, softening. Exhale, feel that pelvic floor lifting and hugging your baby. Remember, we don't want so much tightness that the baby won't be able to come out. Well, they'll come out eventually. But you know what I'm saying. We want, again, I'll repeat it, a balance of strength and flexibility. Keep working with your breath a couple more times. So when we inhale, we fill, we expand. And when we exhale, we hug and contract. Very nice. Heel toe your feet in. Bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips, and rise up. Come back to mountain pose, bringing your hands in this mudra right where your baby is dwelling. Pay just a little attention now to how you're standing. A little more weight on the heels, but feel the base of the big toe and the base of the little toe engaged. And your weight is backed up so that there's no thrusting and stress here. And you can even place an imaginary block between your legs. So 3, 4, or 5 times a day, take this shape. Release your hands. Inhale. Exhale. And last one this way, inhale. Exhale, beautiful. Now, I'm going to show two stretches for the hip rotators. One is seated. So again, if you have a chair somewhere to sit nearby, you can take it that way. So sit on the chair, bring the right leg up, and keeping that left foot on the ground. You'll come forward and you'll feel a nice lengthening in that back glute. So this is one way to do it. If you don't, and keep doing it if you're already there, working on your own with the breath, you don't have a chair, you can come to this shape. Oops, move back a little bit and take the stretch this way. So wherever you are, the focus is on opening the rotator in the back of the head. Breathe, rotator group. So you can play with how far or how close your leg is to your hips. Make it work for you and press into the hands. Breathe. Excellent. Slowly unwind. And if you're at the chair, put the foot down on the ground. Breathe. Notice. Those of you at the floor, I'll face you. We'll do the same thing. Help the leg up. Lengthen the back in and up. And you can feel a nice opening in these hip rotators. Again, if you're at the chair, you'll come forward just until you feel something happening, something sweet. Excellent. 2 more breaths. Inhale, exhale, release. If you're still at the chair, you can stay there or make your way to the ground. That. Take a cross-leg shape. And again, feel the left and right side of those bones. Inhale, the right arm up. Stretch the side of the body. Try not to tip over. Try to keep stability at your seat. You can sit on your blanket. We'll go to the other side. Beautiful. Release down. And we talked about habits, so just change the cross of your legs from what you habitually do. Bring your right hand to your right knee. Inhale, lengthen up, and rotate the ribs to your left. Take in that prana, feeding yourself, feeding your baby with the life force. What you feel, your baby is feeling. Hopefully you're feeling some joy. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, unwind. Left hand to left knee. Lengthen and then exhale. So we've got a nice open rib, open heart. Breathing in and out. And inhale, exhale. Release and unwind. Let's do that little, as a closing, what we started with. Bringing your legs open, hinging forward at the hips, seeing how your practice changed your body, your sense of yourself. You can micro bend your knees, of course, if you need to. And lengthen with the breath, lengthen up, help legs together, even feet, dropping the knees toward the earth. And feel yourself move toward the front of the pelvis, the front sitting bones, butterfly. Inhale, lengthen up. Stretch your legs out to the Dandasana shape. Breathing here. And one more time, letting legs come open. Remember, You want to feel that juiciness in your hips. Come forward, tilting the pelvis forward. So right here, this is a little practice. If there's nothing else to remember, just doing these 3 little poses on the floor, feet together. You can even do some butterflies here, coming forward. And then Dandasana, the staff pose, sitting with kind of dignity with your ribs right over your pelvis, strengthening. Beautiful, everyone. Let's cross our legs. If you're not sitting on a blanket and you want a blanket, lift your hips so you're not sitting on your tailbone. And bring one hand to your baby's dwelling place and the other hand to your heart. Soften shoulders. Soften your eyes or close them, whatever you're comfortable with. And take a nice, long, slow, deep breath. Sending that part of yourself to your baby, and then exhale. And then after inhaling, sending a part of yourself that you want to transmit to your baby. What part of yourself do you admire? Send that to them with your breath. Is it your strength? Is it your sensitivity? Is it your generosity? Feel as if with your breath in this place of pregnancy that you're transmitting all that is beautiful about you. Bring a little smile to your face if you haven't. And I want to thank you all so much for coming to practice with me today. Congratulations again, and I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful, healthy week. They're gone. Okay. I guess I went over a little bit.
That was easy.
Yeah. I hope it went okay for that. Like, bye. Okay. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, no, I really, I really like it. I wish I did this when I was pregnant. Of course, there wasn't a pandemic going on, so you couldn't really find stuff online like this unless you went to, stuff on YouTube that was already pre-recorded and all that. Yeah.